Boom! Greetings from YouTubeville. Once again, Danny Savage, Draft Guru. This hat. Okay, it's straight. Listen, bro, we're just shooting the shit. Talk draft. We can talk Dallas's head coaching search. We can talk marital problems. I'm here. I'm here for you, bro. I'm a good listener. Got a good ear. Wait a second. Look to the left. Look to the right. On an off week, still the best beard on YouTube. Listen, bro, it's really pissing me off, and it's disgusting. There's this famous YouTuber, not famous. He's a nerd, but he thinks he's famous, and like he had a job at one of the Dallas Cowboy radio stations, and then like he quit that to become a YouTuber. But this is him. The JC Star of Death. He's actually on Twitter asking draft people to send him players. What's up, 805? What's up, Vaughn? How's everything going? Good evening. But this guy, JC, he's on Twitter asking draft people to send him players because he's only up to 60. And I tell him, if I was an agent, my agent would send him a cease and desist order, because the second this dude talks about anybody as a draft prospect, bro, the dude straight up bust. And you're at 60? Come on, bro. And you're a YouTuber? Yo, that's gross, bro. Gross. So, like here, I put him up here. That's for the JC Star of Death. He's on YouTube. He's on Twitter begging for people to give him like draft prospects. How about watch some football? This isn't math, people. It's a joke. So listen, man, we could talk about anything here. Like I said, you got marital problems. Boom, I'm the answer. You got a problem with your dog? I'm the answer. Problem with your lawn outside? I'm the answer. I'm a good listener. Sorry about that. We'll talk just a tiny, tiny bit about Dallas's head coaching search. And does it really matter, people? We've been going through 30 years of this bullshit. Does it really matter? They say Jerry had interest in Saleh, Robert Saleh from the Jets. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I've seen every Jet game under his tenure. He's not head coach material. He just lacks it. I think he lacks the personality. I think he's a good DC. He's not a head coach. And ironically, you'd be surprised how many outstanding defensive coordinators are just horrible NFL coaches. I'd rather have an offensive coordinator go for a head coach than a defensive coordinator. And that's not knocking anybody down, because there's plenty of great DCs that just ain't head coach material. So if I had to pick a choice, I would go with an offensive coordinator. Now, Jerry the Drunk is trying to get permission to speak with somebody from Seattle. Listen, Jerry has his guy picked out already. He's just going through the motions. And while the playoffs are going on, Dallas is still front page news. Jerry's a genius. That's why he's worth $13 billion. How many years has Dallas named a head coach the week of the Super Bowl? Seriously. He's a genius because it's the week of the Super Bowl, yet we're all talking about the Dallas Cowboys. The man, as much as we all can hate him, and trust me, I hate him. Hate him. And I could say that word easily. Hate flows off my tongue easily. I can hate very easily because when he fired Jimmy Johnson, winning 2 Super Bowls in a row, your whack job. The way he let Marion Barber die, he's a piece of shit, bro. They knew Marion Barber had problems, and they let him die in a 145-degree apartment when he fucking, excuse my language, he put everything on the line for him when he was on the field. Marion Barber was a straight up beast, man. Beast mode. I mean, bro, he ran. I mean, so there was a guy, he gave you everything. That kid never ran out of bounds. He was a battering ram. And, you talk about family and this and that. Yo, he had issues, man. He tried tackling a car while he was jogging outside. He probably had the onset of CTE. And he had it. Listen, regardless, everyone has demons, bro. The last perfect person that I knew got crucified on a cross. So we all have our demons. But there, Marion Barber was going through issues. And what did Jerry Jones do? Absolutely nothing. So Jerry Jones can go fuck himself. As for the coaching, does it matter, people? Really? Does it matter? The NFL outlawed it years ago, but there used to be the owner of the Raiders was Al Davis, and Al Davis was the owner, and he was the head coach. Since then, they did away with that, and you can't be it. My personal opinion, I don't think you should even be the GM and the head coach because you're playing with money. But that's a whole nother story. Jerry Jones would coach Dallas Cowboys tomorrow if the NFL allowed it. We all know he's in charge of personnel. How many what was that show? The show comes on in the summer that it's like the kiss of death, the camp when they show the teams at camp. How many times has Dallas been on that show on HBO? And like when there's a personnel, someone getting cut, it's in Jerry's office, not the head coach's office. Listen, if you don't think Jerry Jones tells the head coach who to play, who not to play, bro, I can't help you. If you don't think Jerry tells the head coach what plays he'd like to run, I can't help you, man. I can't. It's comical. It's like a joke, man. I gotta laugh not to cry. But this whole, like I said, I never even did a video about, Mike McCarthy because I try to limit my Dallas videos to one a month. I truly do. Uh, Mike McCarthy came here strictly for a paycheck, man. He lied. He said he watched every single Dallas game. How many of yous out there in the real world, if yous would have lied on your job application, would you have got the job? Even saying you lied. But now, if I'm the Joneses, Dion rant on fifth quarter was spot on. Yo, your Dion rant. No, I think so. I hope I'm right, but listen, I would take. I mean, we can do a lot worse than Dion. Listen, my opinion on Dion is if the kids, and I call them kids, the players, if the players in the locker room don't respect a coach like Deion Sanders, Warren Sapp, I'm sure he'll ask Ed Reed to come over. I'm sure he'll ask Charles Haley to help the defensive ends. If these kids don't respect those guys, it's over. They can respect anybody. How can you not respect legends? When it comes to Michael Irvin, just do me a favor. Go on YouTube and look at Michael Irvin giving like speeches to the players at the U. Thank you, 8051, for bringing that up. My rant on Dion. But look up Dion talking to players at the U. Look up Michael Irvin. You would want to run through a brick wall after you heard a motivational speech from Michael Irvin. Let Michael Irvin coach the wide receivers. I'm not against Dion, but once you said the celebrities on the sideline, it all clicked. It's the truth. Like I said, I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. But for Jerry's pockets, it's the right decision. You can get rid of Dak's contract, and it will cost you $103 million for 1 year. And that's this coming year. What does that really matter if we take 1 year on the chin? We have 30 years of nothing. I don't see Deion's son going one. I see Travis Hunter going number one. I see Cam Ward going two. So let's say Deion's at three. Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is at three. To go from 12 to 3, it's doable. It's not like we're coming back from like 20 to 3. A lot of people say Shedeur is a late first-round pick. I don't even listen. I like Shedeur. I do. But he has a very thin build to him. But also, too, he's never played behind a good offensive line. And I'm not saying, like, Dallas's offensive line is all that good now. No, it's in a rebuilding stage. In the real world, this is a horrible, horrible year for a team needing a quarterback. So, but I'm saying, like, with the Joneses hiring Dion, that's strictly for money. Because now, listen, prime time is prime time. You got to respect him. He's a good coach. And honestly, maybe some free agents would want to come to Dallas with him. Warren Sapp was coaching the D-line in Colorado. They had another kid. It's pissing me off, man. An offensive tackle this is how far I go back with the draft. He was Colorado's offensive line coach, Phil Loadholt. Look up that name, people, how I could just boom off the top of my head. He was an offensive tackle for Oklahoma. I think he might have played for the Bears, I think. I'm going back 15, 20 years ago. And I liked Phil Loadholt. Massive individual when he came out his draft year. And he had like a 10-year playing career, and he's coaching the offensive line. So, like, if these kids don't listen to these guys, they ain't gonna. You think they're gonna listen to a Kellen Moore? They'll shove his ass in the locker room. Vikings. He played for the Vikings. There you go. Left tackle, bro. Phil Loadholt. But he went to Oklahoma, man, and I spotted him years ago. Like I said, I swear, listen, bro. I'm just a guy trying to get by with my draft channel. I've been doing this draft stuff for 40 plus years. But he stood out to me, and he wasn't a high draft pick either. He wasn't. And had a solid career. And huge, really a big dude. He was a big dude. And ironically, he's coaching Colorado's O-line. And Colorado's offensive line did improve a lot this year. All I'm trying to say is, like, money-wise, it would make total sense for the Joneses to hire Primetime. But it's ironic. I've been saying for the last year, getting laughed at, that, you know, Prime's going to be the head coach. You got to see through. You got to see the angles, man. When you can't see the angles anymore, it's time to move on. It truly is. I mean, unless we listen, if the Pittsburgh Steelers part ways with Mike Tomlin, I'd jump on him in a heartbeat. In my opinion, Mike Tomlin right now is the best coach in the NFL because Bill Belichick is not in there. We still have Dak no matter what, coach. Yes, but we can trade him. He is tradable, but he would count like $105 million against next year's salary cap. So would we rather get a young Shador and take it on the chin for 1 year? Because let's think about it. We haven't won nothing in 30 years. So Denver moved on from Russell Wilson and made the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. Like I said, today's a little mishmash. We're talking about everything. But let's be serious. Let's talk NFC East. If the Redskins get a running back in the draft, if the Giants get a quarterback, Dallas is the worst team in the NFC East right now. I'm being honest, man. I say the truth even when I lie. We are the worst team in the NFL. Do you think Deion's going to want to coach Dak? No. When you have a coach, you rather have that young ball of clay that you can mold it the way you want it. They want somebody young. They don't want to. Whoever the quarterback coach is, let's say Deion would bring in, he has to break 10 years of bad habits. So listen, Dak's contract, you can get out of it, but you're going to take like $105 million hit for one season. What's the big deal? We haven't done nothing in 30 years. So I don't know. So now 105 mil for 1 year, we take a beating. We sign Micah, and then the next year, we have like $130 million for salary cap. That's where you can go out. Listen, if Zimmer's coaching, let's listen. If Deion becomes the head coach, Zimmer's going to be the defensive coordinator. And we all know Zimmer likes two goons, two one-techs in the middle. This is the draft to get them. It's a good draft for defensive tackle. It's a good draft for defensive end. And we have some big linebackers. I don't want to draft a linebacker that's 210 pounds, and then we got to put 30 pounds on him. People might think I'm crazy. Him especially he's coming off of 1, 2, come on. Overshown. He's coming off 3 knee surgeries already in 2 years. I swear to you, I was on a podcast the day he got hurt. And it was before, it was as soon as the game started, and I said, I think our safety, because this is a good draft for safety also. Very, very, it's a much better draft for safety than it is corner. I'm like, I think our safety is on the team and we're overlooking it. And I was talking about Overshown. Overshown covers good, has crazy speed. He can come off the edges, but I said it since day one. He also has a narrow build. My 19-year-old son has a bigger, broader chest, bigger shoulders than Overshown. Overshown has a slight, he doesn't have the build of a linebacker. And when you don't have that build, and now you have him banging inside the tackles, he's going to wear down. Unfortunately, he's had 3. Listen, he might never even be the same. So until we see him in 2026, you're not going to see him in 2025. So unless we see him in 2026, all about it, linebacker is a big need for this draft too. Safety, we have no safeties, but it's possibility Overshown could play safety. He did play safety in college, people. He did. And now we have we all know Zimmer likes his big, strong, rangy safeties, but it all starts up front. We have to fix the O-line, and we have to fix the defensive tackles. And our edges are gross. Marshawn Kneeland is never going to be a 10-sack guy. He's more of a run stopper. And I said that from day one. I ranked him 5 out of my edge class last year, but it was a horrendous edge class. I can only rank what's in front of me. And I also said he had 0 bend, 0. And he doesn't. He's just strictly a run stuffer. And then everybody's like, oh, but Sam Williams is coming back. We really don't know what we got with Sam Williams, except a young kid with potential that makes stupid makes stupid plays, makes penalties, at the worst times. And I get it. There's 2 types of penalties. There's mental penalties, and then there's aggressive penalties. I don't have a problem with an aggressive penalty. A late hit on a quarterback, I ain't got a problem with that. A late hit on the guy in front of you, I don't have a problem with that. Because let me ask you a question. Football is a game of mental. They might say borderline cheap shot or whatever, the guy in front of you, if you do that in the first 5 minutes of the game, you think he's going to be looking over his shoulder for the rest of the game to see if you're coming? Or if you crack the other team's quarterback, throws a flag, I could live with that. But offsides, holding, like I said, 2 different types of penalties. Jerry is interviewing Leslie Frazier. Yeah, I just saw that before I jumped on. I just wanted to jump on a little bit and cover the coaching thing. Nate Dogg in the house. This is a potpourri. You guys can ask draft questions. You can draft everything. I'm up to 578 on our way to 800. Most people will give you 10 at each position, and they act like they're doing something. Like I'm not on YouTube. I'm not on YouTube like this guy begging people, JC, the kiss of death. He's begging people to give him draft prospects. That's pathetic, bro. That's my JC kiss of death. Because whenever he mentions a draft prospects, kiss of death, people. kiss of death. And I've been saying it for years. And he also lost a bet to me. When you gonna pay, bro? When you gonna pay your bet? You shot your mouth off and you bet me. You shot your mouth off and you bet the verbal assassin. Don't make me come looking for you. And the bet was for $50 and it's going to be donated to the local ASPCA. That was what the bet was for. $50 bet to donate to the local animal shelter because I'm a dog person. I got a 100-pound American Staffy who likes raw meat. You know, he challenged me to a bet and lost. And I've put posts. I've tagged you on Twitter. When you paying your bet, bro? Or do you even remember? Do you not remember making the bet? You lost already before the season even before the 2025 season even started. You lost it. So when are you going to donate $50 to your local ASPCA for animals? Because I'm a dog person. Jerry said he is on a solo mission to find the next coach. Nate Dogg, let me ask you an honest question, man. We all have grandparents. I mean, unfortunately, I lost both of my parents already. But I'm just talking about like an age perspective. Would you let anyone in their 80s make a decision like that? Jerry doesn't even know what day of the week it is. Let's be honest. He knows what day of the week it is by what flavor ice cream they give him. Jerry doesn't watch film. It's a joke, man. It is a joke. How? So now who's advising him? Stephen and McClay? I mean, and like I agree with 100% what Troy Aikman said the other night. I don't think Dallas is a coveted position that people glam up over. I don't. How many years in a row have we seen free agents want to have nothing to do with Dallas? If you was a head coach, would you want Jerry like texting you? He doesn't even know how to text. He has a flip phone, legit. Would you want Jerry telling you what to do? That's a micromanager, man. Bro, that is the worst boss in the world. I'm Jerry. I'm handing you the head coach. I'm handing you the team. I sit back. I watch you win. I don't care how you do it. Just do it. Win. Do you think when Jerry dies, Stephen will take a step back? No. I think Stephen will be. I think the sad part, I think Stephen's going to be even worse than Jerry. Nate Dogg just saw a certain content creator. My eyes suck. With a certain beard, hyping up Jason Witten. Listen, bro. We all know who has the best beard on YouTube. The other guy with the beard, bro. They said he was actually, I don't know if it's true or not, but they said he was actually one of the guys that was bashing Jimmy Johnson for saying they shouldn't have given Dak Prescott. If that's the case, bro, guy's a clown, man, a clown. Jason Witten, high school coach to the NFL, straight jump. So my question is, do we get the Witten with the fake rug on his head, or do we get the bald Witten without the raccoon on his head? Which Witten are we getting? Because that's very important. I do not see Witten as a motivator. I do not see Witten as a Dan Campbell type of player. I do not see him as a Dan Campbell type of coach. Listen, that's what shocked me about Dion, because a lot of times great players make horrible coaches. because they're so athletically gifted and they're the like 1% of 1%. They don't know the ins and outs, the little things you have to do to coach and to get the guys over the hump, to get them to the next level. Deion shocked me. I didn't think he was going to be a good head coach, and he is. I ain't taking nothing away from him. It's just, it would be a straight up circus in Dallas, and it's all about money. Jerry's looking. Listen, I honestly think Jerry has the coach picked out already, and he's just going through. He's just going through with the emotions. He's just going through. Oh, let me just talk to this guy, talk to that guy. Slay from the Jets is a good defensive coordinator. No joke. I've nothing to lie about. I've seen every single game the Jets played where Robert Saleh was the head coach. He's not head coach material. He's not. He's a good defensive coordinator. He's not head coach material. Nate Dogg, who do you think he is going to hire? Nate, I'm going to be honest with you, Nate. That's kind of like picking tonight's lottery numbers. He is so nuts, you have no idea what's going to happen. And the crazy part is, Senior Bowl, I think, is February the 2nd or the 6th. You have the East-West Shrine game coming up. You have to get this coach in sooner than later, because don't you want this coach at the East-West Shrine game? Don't you want this coach at the Senior Bowl practices so they can look at what he wants? I mean, this is the part of being a Dallas fan. This is why, I try to limit my Dallas videos to 2 a month. I can't. I don't know how guys get on here and talk every single day about Dak Prescott and his pockets. I don't. I'd rather slip my wrist. I'd rather drink a gallon of bleach than talk about Dak Prescott's contract. Who cares Dak's having a second baby? Think I give a fuck about that? Excuse my language. The Cowboys were literally making roster moves without a coach. No, absolutely. Absolutely. But that's Jerry. Jerry, if they said Jerry was in his booth with a play sheet with plays, if you don't think it's beyond him to send a play down from the box to, let's say, somebody on the sideline, and then the person from the sideline, pass that over to McCarthy. It's not. I honestly believe he tells McCarthy, I think you should run this. I think you should run that. Just by McCarthy saying he wanted Deuce Vaughn to play more. What was the purpose of signing Dalvin Cook? You get it? Cooked. Dude's been cooked for 2 years. Last year, I watched every single Jet game. Dude ran like Zeke, like he had shit in his pants. What do I got to gain by saying a running back from another team is washed? Why did we sign him? You're telling me, but now think about it, people. We wasted that practice squad spot on a young kid that we could have developed, on a young kid from another team we could have poached, who has upside. I'm all about upside. Even when it comes to fantasy football, I'm about upside. What upside did Dalvin Cook have being on your practice squad all year? 0. But what do I know? I said it before the season started. We have the worst running back room and we have the worst defensive tackle room in the entire NFL. I said we were going 7-10. Ironically, we went 7-10. I saw a comment today. Someone on Twitter who used to do his videos in his car while it was overheating, running out of gas, driving to work. But still, I got no personal issues with the kid because he watches college football. He said, I'm cool with building around Micah. All right, so let me get this straight. This is Micah's fifth? This will be Micah's 5th year, and now you want to rebuild around him? Don't you think that ship's passed already? If you're serious about building a defense around Micah, Dallas picks 12. If somehow Abdul Carter slides to 7, 6, 7, you can move up for a 3 if you're serious. If you want to build around Micah. Because Abdul Carter, Penn State, is Micah Parsons 2.0. And then me, I switched to a 3-4 defense. And listen, zero techs, you can find them any day of the week. At least I can. There's a million of them. At that point, I would look to re-sign Golston at a very team-friendly contract. You have to realize 3-4, getting 3-4 defense personnel is very, very extremely hard because very, very few colleges run a 3-4 defense. So if you're serious about building the team around Micah, the defense, and Abdul Carter slides, let's say to 6, 7, you offer a 3 to get up for Abdul. You draft Abdul Carter. Now you have your 2nd round pick, and it's an early 2nd round pick because we're picking 12. So now this is an early 2nd round pick that you can trade. There's a good possibility you throw it out there, say who wants to come up, and now we trade back in the 2nd round. I'm not saying we're going to recoup that 3rd round pick, but we could probably recoup a 4th, which we don't have. And then Maxi Pad is a joke, but I said that since day one. There's a million zero techs this year. You can find zero techs in undrafted free agency. So now you get another zero tech to help Micah. To help Maxi Pad because he's horrible. And then Nealon, he's a 5 tech. I'm sorry. It is what it is. And I would make an attempt to sign Golston. Now still, for a 3-4, you need 2 large thumpers in the middle at middle linebacker. You need 200. 2 monsters. If somehow Jihad Campbell from Alabama, if he got out of the 1st round, because let's be honest, the NFL has devalued linebackers in the draft the last couple of years. Iowa got 2 monsters in the middle. There's a kid from Syracuse. He hasn't made it known yet if he's coming in or if he's going to enter or he's staying at Syracuse. You need 2 monsters. You need 2 monster linebackers to run a 3-4. But if you're serious about building a team around Micah and Abdul Carter gets to 5, 6, 7, I call up I offer a player. I offer, as crazy as it sounds, let's say Abdul Carter slips to 5, 6. I offer I offer Diggs for that pick. There's no team in the NFL with $200 million corners. So let's be honest, people. Diggs, Bland. We're not going to be able to pay both. It is what it is. So if I can offer Diggs and let's say a late round pick to move up to that spot, I do that in a heartbeat. And let's be honest, is Diggs makes way too many business decisions, and I know this past year was kind of a down year for Dallas's corners, people are saying. But it's amazing with the lack of pass rush that Dallas had this year. Listen, you could put Deion Sanders, Darren Woodson back there. Excuse me, Charles Woodson. You give that quarterback 30, 40 seconds to pass, a DB can only cover him for so long. And I've always said the greatest of pass rushers makes the worst DBs look great. So was Diggs's year and DaRon Bland's great years a result of Dallas's pass rush with the gimmick blitzes? That is a good argument. I mean, what we saw this year from Diggs getting burnt. Granted, he had to get his knee operated on, some stuff cleaned up, but is that really the Diggs? And I'm sorry, I still can't get over the play with Kittles in playoffs a few years ago. Listen, this isn't a scrimmage. It's not a preseason game. When you're making business decisions in the playoffs, I have a problem with that. But that all goes back to there's no leaders on this team. There's no dogs on this team. Where's the Charles Haley to grab him by the throat in the locker room, either at halftime, but I believe that play happened in the second half, or where's that Charles Haley to grab him by the throat after the game's over? Here I am killing myself every single play trying to get to the quarterback, and you're afraid to tackle a tight end? You need people like that on your team. You need goons. You do. I don't want choir boys. I don't, bro. You're going into a fight. You want to go with a choir boy or you want to go with a dog, man? You want to go with a dog. And man, Charles Haley would have snapped. Nate Dogg. Imagine if Charles Haley was playing and he saw that. He would smack the shit out of Diggs if Charles Haley saw that. He would smack the shit out of him. Charles Haley would go after offensive players if they weren't doing their job. I also seen Larry Allen do it one time. Dallas marched down the field and their kicker, Dallas was playing San Fran. You could look it up, it's on YouTube. And the kicker missed the extra point. Larry Allen grabbed him by the face mask and almost broke his neck, saying like, we're out here killing ourselves and you can't kick a simple extra point. You need guys like that on your team. I want a dog. I want a pit bull. I don't want a choir boy. I don't. Every team needs a goon. I'm not a hockey fan at all. But in hockey, each hockey team has a guy, the goon. He's the fighter. That's it. That's all he does is fight. You need somebody like that on your team. Like I said, there's two types of penalties: mental And then there's physicality. I don't mind a roughing the passer in the first quarter. I don't mind that. I don't. That shows you got heart. You want to give him a hit. I don't care. Whack him. You want a cheap shot? See, what some people say cheap shot, that's what I call playing football 30, 40 years ago, and it was accepted. But now it's, gets termed a dirty player. 30, 40 years ago, Vontez Burfict could have played. There would have been, nobody would have blinked their eye at him. Nobody would have. But, and he was an undrafted free agent coming out of Arizona, and I loved him in Arizona. I loved him in Arizona State. Sun Devils. Bro, he was legit a monster. Let's be honest. Could Darren Woodson play in this NFL we have? Nah, man. So the guys we rip apart now would have been heroes later on, man. It's just there's no dogs. There's no dogs on the team. There isn't. There's nobody holding anybody accountable. There was a part where Aikman never got along with Barry Switzer because they actually were in college together. Troy Aikman started his college career at Oklahoma, and Barry Switzer was the Oklahoma coach. Ironically, Jerome Brown, rest his peace, from Miami, University of Miami, snapped Troy Aikman's leg, and then Troy Aikman transferred to UCLA. And then, ironically, Troy gets him back again at Dallas. And there was a problem. One of the coaches, John Blake, was talking shit. He was saying that Aikman only yells at the black players, not the white players. And then Switzer brought in Darren Woodson, got his take on it, and Darren Woodson was like, "No, not at all. Troy's not like that." Charles Haley said, "Well, look around the huddle. He's surrounded by black guys. 2 was white. Well, 2 was Hawaiian. Dow Johnson was white, and Novacek. So there's 3 other white guys in the huddle. So the majority of people in the huddle were black." And Charles Haley said, "If Troy Aikman doesn't do it, I'll do it because they're playing with my money." You need leaders like that on the team. And it was just all bullshit with Dallas. I mean, Switzer won a Super Bowl, but he won it with Jerry's team. It is what it is. But as crazy as it is, everyone who's played under him, probably except Troy Aikman, they all loved him because he was like a players type coach. He would ask you, how's it going? He would ask you how your family is. He wanted to get to know you. And listen, I'm probably being a little bit harsh on a guy, but he still won a national championship plus a Super Bowl. And I think I could be mistaken, but I think it's only Jimmy Johnson, Pete Carroll, and Switzer that did that. I might be missing one person. We need a player that plays borderline like Bill. Oh, absolutely. You're 100%. 100%. Romanowski played, he went to Boston College, linebacker, tough ass kid. He played for Philly. He played for the 49ers. He played for Denver. He played for the Raiders. He played for a lot of teams. He was crazy. And, he took every supplement under the, under the world. But hey, it is what it is. Let's think about it. If you injure your neck and they say it's a 12-month recovery, but if you take this, you're going to recover in 6 months. You don't think you're going to take it? How ironic. Peyton Manning got human growth hormone, allegedly, shipped to his house under his wife's name so his neck would heal faster. I don't care what you take. Win. That's all that matters. There's a great defensive lineman who should be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not. Lyle Alzado. He played for Cleveland, Denver, and the Raiders. And he went public with his steroid use because he's dying of cancer. This is 92. He went public. Steroids were legal, everybody, up until like 88, 86. So when he was playing, steroids were legal. And you can just tell, I can tell by my eye who's on, who's off of it. When the Redskins had the Hogs, you can tell they were on it. The Steel Curtain, 78, you can tell that they were on it. So now Lyle Alzado is not in Canton because he just admitted to it. Don't even get me started on the Hall of Fame. The WWE has a Hall of Fame that's, I think, more reputable than the NFL, because the NFL seems like they only want to like make happy the young players, the young kids out there, because there's so many old forgotten warriors out there, and it blows my mind and it pisses me off that there's so many old forgotten warriors, and the NFL, it's a joke. Eric Williams not in the Hall of Fame, bro, that's a joke. Nate Newton not in the Hall of Fame, that's a joke. Darren Woodson not in the Hall of Fame, joke. The fact that Charles Haley was not a first ballot Hall of Fame is a joke, bro. The Hall of Fame should be the guys who played, not no sports writer who never ever played any sport. Who is he to judge someone where the only uniform he ever put on was when mommy got him dressed for school? Why should a sports writer, for a sports columnist, write and have a vote on who gets in and who gets out? It should be the players and the Hall of Famers themselves. That should be the only ones who decide who gets in the Hall of Fame or not. Listen, don't even get me started because I can rattle off. Why is it Sean Taylor in the Hall of Fame? Was it his fault he got murdered? Why is it Jerome Brown? I'm not just a Dallas fan. I'm a fan of football itself. Why is it Jerome Brown in the Hall of Fame? It's not his fault he died in a car crash. But we can put Terrell Davis in, who only played 6 years. And out of that 6 years, like 4 of them were good. We could only put him in because he was a running back. But yet other guys got to wait. They say, oh, they didn't play enough. This past year, they inducted Chuck Howley from the Dallas Cowboys. Like 40 years ago, probably more, Dallas Cowboys played the Colts in the Super Bowl. And Dallas lost. And it's the first time, and it's probably the last time you're ever going to see the MVP was from a losing team. Plus, Chuck Howley had a crazy, legit career with Dallas, numerous Pro Bowls, numerous All Pros, MVP of the Super Bowl on a losing team. When they came to his house, he looked worse than Joe Biden. He was like, he's like legit 85, 86. He had no clue what was going on. And then at the enshrinement ceremony, he had to have his 2 sons go up there and get the trophy for him. Like, are you kidding me, man? You don't think there's something seriously wrong with that? As Charles Haley said it the best, this is not the game I know. This is Charles Haley's words, not mine. This is not the game I know. This is not the game I played. They're teaching our children to play flag football. If you touch a quarterback, you just touch him, you got a flag. Funny thing, you ever notice you never ever seen a quarterback ever test positive for PEDs? Never, ever. All the changes they make in the NFL, what is it for? High scoring games. It's a joke, man. It's just a joke. This is a draft channel. Will always be a draft channel, open to all 32 NFL teams. Like I said, I just happen to be a Dallas fan. Coaching search, I got no idea. It's like picking a rabbit out of a hat. You got no idea what Jerry's doing. And I mean, listen, McClay, he's collecting a paycheck. He's living off the Johnny Football picking Zach Martin. He's still living off of that. All our other great players since McClay came in, they fell in our lap. Let's think about it. Nobody thought CeeDee Lamb was going to 17. But thank God, the Raiders and Denver don't know how to draft. Micah Parsons. We didn't even want Micah Parsons. We tried trading up for Satan with the Dolphins. Dolphins said no. So we traded back. Can you imagine if we would have traded back and the Giants would have drafted Micah Parsons? Him and Al Harris overrated. When it comes to coaches, I have no idea I don't know what they're going to do. I don't even think they know what they're going to do. I can give you a blueprint of what we need, and I think anyone with common sense could tell you that. We need a left tackle. Tyler Guyton is not a left tackle. Let's put him at right tackle. See if he can last there. So we have no left tackle. We have no right guard. We need 2 running backs. Need another wide receiver, but that could be a day 3 guy. Now I'm on my second hand now. We need 2 defensive tackles. We need another edge. We need a linebacker and a big linebacker. And we need 2 safeties. So let's say we had 10 picks. Who says we're going to hit on all of them? Don't worry, Savage. The cupcake. Listen, Nate Dogg, I hear what you're saying with Gentry. All I'm trying to say is Gentry played up against 2 tough teams. He played up against Oregon, and he played up against Penn State. After that, he was playing up against community colleges. And granted, against Oregon, he got like 100-something yards. Oregon's defense was like 25 in the NCAA. So it was like he faced a top 5 defense. But so you played good against one good team. There's a big difference of having a good game against Oregon. Okay, let me rephrase this. There's a big difference of rushing for those yards in that conference versus the SEC or the Big Ten, where every week you're going up against killers. Do I like Gentry? Yeah, I like him. I want to see him try to pass block. He ain't going to go to the Senior Bowl. Because you'll have linebackers legit run his ass over in pass blocking drills. He won't go. And my theory behind that is, listen, don't be shocked Jerry drafts him. You know how many jerseys he's going to sell? Should we get rid of all the coaching staff as a new coach? Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But Jerry does everything ass backwards. I've been dealing with this my entire life. How do you fire a coach that just won back-to-back Super Bowls? If Jimmy Johnson stays, Dallas wins 5 straight, and there's a legit 8 more Cowboys in Canton, and Dallas is considered the best dynasty of all time. And Jerry deprived all the fans of that. Besides that, I can go with taking Greg Ellis over Randy Moss. I could say a million bad draft picks Jerry did. How about taking Roy Williams over Ed Reed? Can you picture a secondary with Darren Woodson and Ed Reed, and then also having Randy Moss on that team with Irvin, Aikman, and Emmett? Randy Moss gets drafted by Dallas. That's another ring. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. If the Chiefs fired Andy Reid right now, like you said, Nate Dogg, I don't even know who the owner of the Chiefs is, they would be getting crucified on social media. But back then, when Jerry did it, there wasn't even internet when he did it. But I'll never forget when I told my father that. I'm like, "Yo, you believe they fired Jimmy Johnson?" He looked at me like you're joking, right? And I'm like, "No." Right then and there, like, yo, that just it killed a lot of me, man. It really did as a fan. It really, really did. Listen, that's why I wanted to be different. I wanted my channel to be a draft channel, and my draft channel is open to 32 NFL teams. I do 30 tomorrow. I'm going to do a 2-round 32 team mock draft. I got 10 more prospects for tomorrow, on our way to 800. Because you got to realize everyone's practice squad, I think, is either 15 to 17 players. And then you also have the XFL, USFL, which should be starting up soon. I like football, but that's tough to watch. So I'm giving you extra guys at 800, and but you still have the XFL/USFL. You have these indoor leagues where like people call the players. I don't even know what you call them. You have Canadian football. So, and you're gonna laugh, man. I take more pride in finding somebody like I gave you like number 600 that turns out to be a star than a first round pick going off. If you're a first round pick, that's what you're supposed to do. But your team is made up of day 3 players. It is. And it's the team that can find the day 3 gems. Last year you were talking about Danny White. It was before my time. He really went. Yeah, Danny White. Listen, Danny White was in a no-win situation. Danny White was also a punter. He was following Roger Staubach. And a lot of people don't know this. Roger Staubach was a 27-year-old rookie because he went to the Navy and he had to do his naval commitment. So now, if Roger Staubach would have came into the league at 22 instead of 27, that's another Super Bowl right then and there. But long story short, Danny White, when Staubach, got older, had a lot of problems with concussions. Danny White was the next man up. They say Roger Staubach could have ran for president and he would have won. Squeaky clean, good guy. So Danny White was in a no-win situation. It was like whoever we put in following Troy Aikman. Danny White went to three. I remember as a little kid, went to 3 straight NFC championship games. And he lost. And our fan base calls him a bum. 3 straight NFC championship games. And they call him a bum. Now, if Dak went to 1 NFC championship game, our fan base would say Dak belongs in Canton. Come on, bro. That's like whoever the Chiefs quarterback is next. When Patrick Mahomes retires, he's in a no-win situation. You can't win. What's up, Savage? What's up, Mean Mug? Mean Mug in the house. What's your take on Caleb Johnson out of Iowa? I love Caleb Johnson. He has great size, crazy production, but when you do what I do, you got to nitpick. And I'm just nitpicking. Iowa does have they're known for running a very conservative offense. The only question mark I have on Caleb Johnson is, where was he his entire college career? Because he only had 1 year of great production. Where would you personally take a running back? I'm going to be honest with you. You can get a straight monster running back in round 3 this year. Legit monster. They might start going a little bit earlier just because this is not just me. A lot of guys are saying this is like the worst draft in like 10, 15 years. It's the talent is just not there. If you're a team that desperately needs a quarterback, you got Cam Ward and Shedeur. Cam Ward will throw you 45 passes, and he looks all pro. But yet in the same game, he'll throw 5 passes that'll make you want to choke him. You're like, what were you thinking on those 5 passes when it's taken back for 6 points the other way? But that could be coached out of him. That could be done with coaching. But Cam Ward, he has, and everyone go back to my channel, man. I'm not talking shit. I was super high on Cam Ward in May. In May, I was blowing him up. Yeah, the draft is. Listen, I'll tell you who I'll take. Yo, SMU got a couple defensive linemen I would take in a heartbeat. SMU, I've done over 30 running backs already, probably more. But SMU got 2 legit defensive linemen I would take. There's a million. There's a legit. There's a kid, he played for Arkansas. In 2022, he had like 1,700 yards, Rocket Sanders. They called him Darren McFadden 2.0. Then he had a knee injury, and he went for like 800 the following year. But he transferred. He transferred to South Carolina. He's on the bigger side too. You can look at his tape. He's going to come down to the combine. I'd like to come out of this draft with 2 running backs. I want a speedster, And I want like a Gibbs from Detroit. Let's be honest, Gibbs from Detroit, he's not a full-time back. He's not a bell cow. He's a part-time running back. But that's what this league has turned into. So I want a speedster, a home run threat, and then I want that big 6'2", 240-pounder to just wear people down. I'm telling you, two of my favorites decided just yesterday they're going back to school. Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen from Penn State. That just shows you the world we live in. They decided, oh, we're going back. I just pray that they both have large insurance policies on their knees. Yeah, Caleb Johnson, Iowa got legit two good linebackers, two good safeties. They got a good defensive tackle. You hear Black. They got Higgins, a linebacker. They got Nwanka as the safety. And it's weird. Iowa plays their safeties like 15, 20 yards off the ball. So they have to be rangy. They have to be able to cover real quick and lay the pipe when they're coming up, stopping the run. Caleb Johnson. Yeah. I mean, listen, there are another, don't take my word for it. Look up Kyle Monangai from Rutgers. He's a bad man. Bad man. Last year, he led the Big Ten in rushing from little old Rutgers. I'd be shocked if he gets out of round 3. Now, I've got questions about him that he's similar in size to Austin Gentry. But just because somebody is the same height and weight does not mean they have the same build. Look at Kyle Monangai's build versus Gentry's build. Gentry is built like a little kid. Kyle Monangai's built like a bowling ball. And I've seen Kyle Monangai play since high school. I watched him in high school play football. He's a Jersey kid. Would you take Riley Leonard in the later rounds to try to develop him? Honestly, in the later rounds, I would throw a day 3 pick at Indiana's quarterback. I got his name on the tip of my tongue. It's in all my books. Rourke, I think his last name is, because he passed for close to 8,000 yards in the MAC. He threw over 55 touchdowns in the MAC. Then he transferred. It was a graduate transfer. He transferred to Indiana and put up. So now he stepped up in competition and put up similar numbers. He's 6'5", 230. Riley Leonard. Listen, I wouldn't be against it. I also like another guy, but he's going to get knocked down because of his height. And we also know, okay, his name is Dylan Gabriel from Oregon. He's only 5'10", 5'11", but the kid can throw the ball. Houston, University of Houston, they also got another kid, 6'5". Listen, I'll be honest with you, and I've said this all along, by far, quarterback is my weakest position. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, but I say it. But it also seems like quarterback is everybody's weakness also too. John Elway knows a lot more football than me, and he had to go get Peyton Manning to win a Super Bowl. Every quarterback he got, he couldn't, get him over the hump, get him to the Super Bowl. So quarterback has the highest bust rate, but would I be against it? We have no backup quarterbacks as of now. Trey Lance is a free agent. Cooper Rush is a free agent. I would bring back Will Grier because you can get Will Grier for probably $1 million. And I would not have a problem spending a day 3 pick, throwing one out there on a quarterback, because if you don't do that, how do you even expect to, like, develop anybody? How? But also, I think Riley Leonard and Dak Prescott are two completely different style quarterbacks. So I don't know really, like, in the way they play. So I don't know if that would be a good fit. I'm pissed. Drew Aller from Penn State decided to go back to college because I was hoping the Giants would draft him. His deep ball, horrendous. Drew Aller's deep ball sucks, man. But he decided to go back to school. So it is what it is, man. Like I said, I just wanted to get on here, bullshit a little bit about the coaching situation, take anyone's questions on the draft. Uh, it's a shitty year if you're looking for a quarterback. I can tell you that much. But you will see a day three gem. It happens all the time, man. People slip through the cracks. You will see an undrafted free agent sign with a team and produce. It slips through the cracks all the times. Do you honestly think if Belichick thought Brady would have been that good, he would have waited till the sixth round to take him? It happens. Great people uh, slip through the cracks. And I think a lot of GMs are hesitant on taking quarterbacks because they know their job is on the line. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if that quarterback doesn't produce, they're out. But Dallas doesn't. Dallas's GM is Jerry. What does he care? It's tough being a Dallas fan because what makes sense in football, they do completely opposite. So, like I said, I just wanted to get that out of the way. I hate doing videos on Dallas because there's Maxwell Harrison. Give me the team he plays for. I got 800 names going through my head. Maxwell Harrison. I don't want to pull out my books. Just give me what team. Or I can look to see if I did it. Kentucky. What position? I haven't. I don't think I put him out there, to be honest with you. Kentucky, I put out their defensive tackle, Deone Walker, Dumas Johnson, the linebacker. I put out. I don't know if I put that kid out, to be honest with you. Hold on a second. It's nuts having all these names going around in your head. He's a corner. Yeah, I did not put him out. I'll check him out tomorrow. He has great size. He's 6'1", 196. So I'll check him out. I'll check. Like I said, now if I wanted to be just a jerk off, I could be like, yeah, he's the greatest. He's good against this. He's bad against that. Bro, I'll tell you if I don't know anything about the guy. There's a million people in college football. Have I gotten to everybody yet? No, absolutely not. I went to who I think are draftable players, but I'll check him out. But he has great size. He's 6'1", 186. I like my corners like 6'2" is the cutoff because I think after when you get a corner that's like 6'3", 6'4", they kind of look awkward back there trying to cover the speedsters. Yeah, but I'll check him out. Deone Walker, let me tell you something. Before the season started, Deone Walker was a first-round draft pick. He was a top 10 pick. He had a better 2023. He had like 50 tackles and 8 sacks. This year, he had like 30 tackles and like 4 sacks. My personal opinion, he was playing not to get hurt and he was making a business decision. But Deone Walker at 6'6", 360 has played one, has played three, has played stand up 5 tech. Bro, that's talent when you can get a guy that big and have that much athleticism. They don't come around often. And you got a lot of drafts seeing him slip to round 2, round 3. But you see, that's why, like, I find it comical. So his tape in 2023, he's a first rounder. But now his tape is not as good as 2020. His 2024 tape is not as good because he's making a business decision, trying not to get hurt. And now what? We're going to drop him to the 3rd round? Yo, if he goes in the 3rd round, some team is getting a steal because it's criminal to have a kid that big, that strong, and have lateral quickness left to right. He is. Let me write down Maxwell Harrison. Kentucky. Yeah, I'll check him out. I usually save corners for last when I do all my rankings because I'm really not a legit 100% corner guy. And but I'll tell you one thing: this is a bad year for corners. Safeties, you're good. There's a good 10 legit safeties. My safety one is from Notre Dame. But then Penn State got 2 legit safeties. Iowa, Western Kentucky got a kid. Bro, safeties are super deep this year. Super deep. Listen, it's not a good draft, bro. That's why, like, Abdul Carter slides to 5 or 6. If I'm Dallas, I'm on the phone. I'm offering a 3. We're only moving up from 5 spots, maybe. You're telling me a team at 7 won't move back 5 spots for the 3 in a heartbeat? Then you could tell me you're serious. Was that really a bad year to suck because of? Wait a second. No, that's just Dallas's luck that we sucked this bad, and it's a bad. Dallas can't predict who declares for the draft, who doesn't. There's kids that declared for the draft, pulled out, and then jumped back into a portal. So they really can't. It just sucks though that we have such a higher pick. And to be honest with you, we should be picking like 5 or 6. The second that got hurt, Trey Lance should have been in the game because your season's over and we gave up a round 4 pick. So Trey Lance, if Trey Lance was in the football, we'd probably have like 2 wins on the season and we'd be picking like top 5. But what do I know? We traded a 4th for Trey Lance to make $5 million holding an iPad. How is next year's draft talent looking? It looks early to say because there's a whole bunch of court rulings that haven't come out yet officially. 2 of them are the NCAA is looking to give every player 5 years eligibility to play football. You usually only got 4. The NCAA is thinking about making across the board 5 years of eligibility. That's up to the NCAA, but they better announce it soon. Also, there's a court case going on right now where JUCO is not going to be able to count against your eligibility. In the past, JUCO did count against your eligibility in college. A kid sued and he won. So they said, okay, I believe he was a quarterback for Vanderbilt. I could be mistaken though. So once he won, the NCAA said, okay, wait a second now. He won his lawsuit. We just can't make it open to him because we'll get a million more lawsuits. Is Ewers coming out? That's a tough question, man. That's a tough question. I'm going to be honest with you. He doesn't, in my opinion, nothing flashes out about him. He's steady, he's consistent, he's a game manager. But if you're down 3 touchdowns, I don't think he's the guy to put his team on your shoulders and, go down and win for you. And straight up played behind the best offensive line in collegiate football. That's Texas. Yes, Texas does have the best offensive line in the NFL, and you're going to see probably 3 to 4 of those kids getting drafted. But Ewers doesn't excite me. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Who's a better college prospect, Micah or Abdul? See, that's a hard question because Micah only played 2 years of college football. That's it. 2020, because of the C word, he opted out. So all we saw were 2 years of him. If we would have saw a year 3 from Micah, he never makes it to 12. But Micah and Abdul Carter are very, very similar. I'm sorry, Abdul Carter is not a hand. He's not a hand in the dirt edge. He's not. They tried that with him the first couple of games this year. And if you go back to the first game of the year against West Virginia, he's borderline my left tackle one is Wyatt Mullen from West Virginia. Big old country boy who has not allowed a sack in 3 years. So it was him and Abdul all game, but they would chip him. Running back, would chip him with a running back also too. But they pretty much shut Abdul Carter down that game. The defensive coordinator finally moved Abdul Carter back to linebacker. Abdul Carter is not an edge. He's not an edge. He's not an edge in the NFL. But me personally, I would play Abdul Carter, which they've done after the experiment of him. And the crazy part about him with edge, he has crazy sick bend. Crazy bend. Listen, if you want to play Abdul Carter, and I spotted him as a 17-year-old freshman from Philadelphia. He was a freak. 17-year-old kid from Philadelphia. He had 7 sacks as a true freshman from a linebacker. His 2 best seasons at linebacker. He has no clue what he was doing, and he was just causing mayhem. And that's what I want. But then they put him as a hands-down edge. He's not a hand-in-the-dirt style player. But can you picture a defense of Micah and Abdul on the other side? Or just flip-flopping them? That would be an offensive coordinator's nightmare. And then you just get some big-ass one-techs, throw them in the middle. Listen, it all depends which way Dallas goes this year. That's why it's hard to predict. Let's just say hypothetically, Rex Ryan got the job. we're going to a 3-4. But as a prospect, I would rank Abdul Carter higher just because we have 3 years of game tape on him. Yet on Micah, we only had 2. And then Micah also had a bullshit off the field incident, which they covered up. But if Micah plays his 3rd year, he never gets to 12. He don't. I don't. He doesn't get to 12. But that's a good question. That's a very good question. Better college. But I'm telling you, if you watched Abdul Carter as a true freshman, you would think you were looking at Micah Parsons. He's like Micah Parsons 2.0. 2 young kids that have no clue what they're doing, crazy sick athletic ability, and just playing with their hair on fire, getting sacks and going nuts. I hate the 3-4 defense. Nah, I hear what you're saying. Mean Mug. With a 3-4, your 3 down lineman is basically where it's won or lost. Because if your 3 down lineman can't keep the 340-pound guards off of your linebackers, you're in for a long afternoon. You're in for a long day. And like I said, it's like, it's trying to predict. We don't even know who the coach is going to be. Once I know who the coach is going to be, I'll have a better idea of who we're going to pick. Once I know who the defensive coordinator is, I mean, let's be honest. For all we know, as of right now, Zim is probably our defensive coordinator for next year. And he has played a little bit of 3-4 when he was in Cincinnati. And to be honest with you, with what Zimmer had to work with this year, I know a lot of people are killing him and stuff, but for what he had to work with somebody else's scraps, man. And if you notice, a lot of the games were competitive in the first and second quarter. And at the end of that second quarter, when that defense just wore down, then the games got blown open. You have to have big, fast linebackers. Yeah, you got 3-4, you got to have big monster middle linebackers. You got to have like LVE. You got to have like 6'3", 6'4", 250-pound linebackers. Jihad Campbell out of Alabama, he fits that pick. But if you would have got Abdul, you're never getting him. Listen, man, hopefully they'll find a coach sooner than later, because then, while all these, I think the East-West Shrine is this weekend, I believe. And then probably 2 weeks after that, it's the Senior Bowl. But you would think you would like to have your head coach in place before that. But Jerry does everything backwards. And Jerry usually names his coach the week of the Super Bowl. Why, might you ask? Because it's Super Bowl week. We're 7-10. But yet Dallas is still in the news every single day. Why? Because we just named our head coach. And winning means absolutely nothing to Jerry. It's all about the money. So listen, bro. Mean Mug, Nate Dogg, everybody else jumped into the chat, man. Thank you. I just wanted to just go over a few things. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping 10 more prospects. Today was skill players. Tomorrow is more interior offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Then I'll also be dropping a 32 team, 1-round mock draft for tomorrow. I also have to drop, I think it's Dallas mock 63.0. I got to drop that too. You got to realize on my Twitter, I dropped 62 Dallas mock drafts already. On my own, I've probably done over 2,000, but I've only published 62 on my Twitter account, which is Danny Savage, Draft Guru. Don't you hear that Jerry wanted Witten to come on To be honest with you, Big Mike lying to get the job. I honestly think if they offered Mike a 3-year extension, but one of the contractual things is Zim is going to Witten is going to be on your team. I think Big Mike would have took the 3-year extension. I just don't. I just think Dallas didn't want him, in my opinion. I mean, because what is Witten going to be besides a tight end coach? What is he going to be? And I think Big Mike would have signed that contract because think about it. He already got a defensive coordinator he doesn't want. He didn't want Zimmer. Jerry wanted Zimmer. Prime wanted Zimmer. So I think, McCarthy's just in it for the money. And to be honest with you, I don't see Mike McCarthy getting a coaching job. I don't. But what do I know, man? But hey, when we're Dallas fans, that's what we got to deal with. So tomorrow I'll be dropping 10 more goons. I call my offensive lineman, defensive lineman goons because you need goons. I'll be dropping, that's not a derogatory statement. I'll be dropping 10 more goons tomorrow, 10 more linemen. Then a Dallas mock draft 63.0. And then I'll be dropping a 32 team NFL mock draft because we all know when we're rocking with the GWO, it's for life. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in the chat. Have a good night.